12, verses 15 and 16. If you wish to follow that, you may find it on page 961. And the writer says this: the way of fools seems right to them, but the wise listen to advice. Fools show their annoyance at once, but the prudent overlook an insult. And then one verse in chapter 19, verse 20, page 972. Listen to advice and accept discipline, and at the end you will be counted among the wise. As most of you know, a couple weeks ago, Ellen Van Stee's church school class helped prepare the worship service and participated in that worship service because that class was studying worship. And when Ellen first asked me about the participation of the class, I said, well, here are the 3 topics that I'm going to be talking on the Sunday mornings for which I'm responsible in November. Why don't you lay out those 3 topics in front of the kids, and why don't you ask the kids to pick the one that they'd like to construct the service around. And so they chose to construct a service around the topic of giving. But Ellen emailed me and said, you know, it was a really hard decision because they really liked the living with our critics theme because they feel overly criticized at this age by their parents and by their peers. And I suspect that many of us might say, join the club. That's the way I feel too. Some folks say that there's only 2 things that are certain in life: death and taxes. Maybe some of us would like to expand the list to at least 3 to include criticism, because it seems to be part of the territory. It's part of our functioning at home. It seems to be there when we're in school, or when we're on the job, or when we're working at church, or almost any other arena of society in which we're involved. And sometimes, like our young people, we feel overly criticized, and when we even get a whiff of the fact that it may be coming, we open the trash can and put it in. The writer of the Proverbs would label that response as foolishness. His advice to every one of us is, listen to advice. Listen to advice. Now that's often hard to do because, as you well know, criticism is personal. It's about us. And it's spoken because some other person perceives in our lives or in our functioning an area where we could improve, where we could do better. And we don't really jump up and down for joy when someone comes to us with that message. Most of us are a bit insecure. And most of us have some doubts about the things that we're doing, especially when someone else sort of says, why don't you do this thing? You're well equipped to do this thing. And we're wondering if we're well equipped or not. And then when we hear that criticism, we say, you know, I didn't think I was really up to this, and now it's showing. And sometimes criticism is hard to hear because of the source from which it comes. Someone said that the person has a right to criticize who has a heart to help. That's really good advice for all of us. That's a good test for each of us to consider as we offer criticism. Am I offering criticism because I'm really sincerely interested in this person or interested in improving this situation, or am I offering criticism simply to vent? And the answer to that question, obviously, will make a huge difference in how criticism is offered and in how criticism will be received. Thus, if you're offering advice to another person because you're sincerely interested in improving that other person or improving an area of functioning in which that person is involved, then speak out. But if you're only offering advice or criticism to get your 2 cents in, or to register your opinion, or to go on record that you feel this way, perhaps it would be better if you simply kept your mouth closed. But today I want to look mainly at the receiving of criticism, not the giving of criticism. And it strikes me that the first thing that we ought to assume about anyone who is giving us advice is that that person is genuinely interested in assisting us and not in harming us. Most people simply won't bother to say anything to us about anything because they know it's not worth the risk. They know that criticism is difficult to hear. They know that criticism hurts. And they know that an immediate knee-jerk reaction which lashes out against the messenger is sometimes the result of criticism when the message is delivered. And it's much easier not to bother. It's no skin off my nose if there's an area in your life where you can improve. I'm not going to ruin my friendship with you. I'm not going to damage your perception of me by speaking. I'm simply going to go on and live and let live. So when you do encounter someone who wants to assist you personally or wants to assist you in the midst of the performance of a certain task by giving some advice or by giving his or her perspective, hold on to that person and hold on to that person's words like rare jewels. Because they are. You children and young people really think that your parents are speaking to you because they wish to hurt you? Do you think the teacher at school is suggesting something simply because he or she has got it in for you? Do we really think that that fellow church member who gives a comment or a helpful suggestion is somehow our enemy? Do we really think that the person at work has got it in for us? That someone said, my critics are the unpaid guardians of my soul. What a healthy attitude. What a beautiful attitude to have about other people. My critics are the unpaid guardians of my soul. In matters that do indeed affect our spiritual life, but also in matters which are far less important than that. The wise listen to advice, says the author of the Proverbs in chapter 12, verse 15. Listen to advice.